All right, we're restarting. So iodine, what is iodine? It's the thyroid hormone is made of an amino acid called tyrosine. Tyrosine is rich in raw egg whites. Eat as many raw egg whites as you can to get, not you, but if you have a thyroid gland, then if you eat tyrosine, which is raw eggs, you get your fundamental, your bricks, so to speak, of your thyroid metabolism.
Well, I sometimes whip up a raw egg with a little bit of salt.
You told us, yes.
And I used to drink that.
As a child, you were.
So is that still good?
Yes.
What is the
mix raw egg with some cream and lemon. Skip the sugar, and it'll be very delicious. Mm-hmm. Cream and sugar. Heavy cream, sugar, and lemon. Yes. Oh, sorry, not sugar. lemon, no sugar. So iodine is part of the thyroid hormone. The selenium is present in the enzyme that takes the T4 and converts it to T3, to T2, T1. Each one of them has a different metabolic activity. So selenium without iodine is like a motor car with wheels but no engine. So you gotta have them together. But you do need a lot of iodine for the rest of your body as well. Iodine is anti-cancer. It's good for your breast health, your ovarian health, reproductive health. The thyroid gets cleansed every day with an enzyme called glutathione peroxidase because it's critical to keep your thyroid free of toxicity. And if the glutathione is missing, your liver makes a lot of the glutathione. If the glutathione is missing, then your thyroid is going to become malignant, meaning your thyroid is not going to work as well. So you need a diet that's rich in glutathione, which is made from animal protein. So eat a lot of pate, red meats, nice array of raw meats if you can, or minimally cooked meats. Eat your thyroid meds on an empty stomach 20 to 30 minutes before a meal. I would definitely recommend consider getting tested and or starting on the natural thyroid hormone, and I'll give you the links to that, but it's bovine or porcine hormone. You want hormone made from Groundup thyroid of animals that have not eaten Groundup and have grown on grass pasture, and there were no GMO foods used to feed those animals. And New Zealand has a lot of those sources.
So what happens to, like, if we go to a ranch where we're getting grass-fed, grass-finished beef?
Get the thyroid, yes.
I haven't seen them offer it.
If you get the necks of chickens and the necks of animals at the butcher, just say, I don't want the thyroid removed. You would have thyroid, freeze it, and eat a little bit every day.
So what's it look like in the neck?
It's a little butterfly-shaped gland that's below the trachea, on your trachea here, below the Adam's apple, right here.
Now that's funny because years ago I was told when you're making soup or gravy or anything, use any part of the chicken but the neck, because the neck is where they inject the whatever.
Antibiotics.
Whatever they're injecting into chickens to make them grow bigger. And
if you're not getting organic.
Oh my goodness.
But I mean years ago, so we would just, we'd throw in the heart and the liver and everything, but not the neck.
Well, because I just made a bone broth with duck heads, necks, and chicken feet.
Yeah.
And when I was eating some of the meat from the neck, there's like little light-colored fatty type things by the throat part of it. Yeah. It
would be underneath there somewhere, under the fat probably. It's little red sort of organs. It's red, bright red in color.
Because they would have taken it out if it's a head.
Exactly, yeah. So go seek them out. Or if you go to a farmer, just say, hey, don't take out the thyroid, I want to eat them. And from time to time, glandular extracts like that are very useful to eat because you replete your thyroid. And that's a natural way of getting it. So you typically start, grain is a measure of Groundup thyroid hormone. One grain is about 60 milligrams, or thereabouts, 40 to 60 milligrams of thyroid hormone. And so in the old days, they used to start with a quarter, go to a half, go to one. And what Rhoda Barnes, the preeminent thyroid researcher, found was that his severely hypothyroid patients, about 3 to 4 grains was about what they needed. When he went into the 70s, they were starting patients on 200 to 300 micrograms of T4, but after the TSH test, they moved it to like 80 to 100. So people are being given a third of what they need. It's like, you know, you need 2,000 calories to live and someone's giving you 600 calories. Of course you're going to have disease. Of course you're going to have disease. So we're under-medicating based on tests, not the symptoms of the person. The tests are just stuff that's in your blood at any given time. But what's in your tissues, or whether you have hypothyroidism type 2 or tissue resistance to thyroid, you don't know unless you look at the person. And when you look at the person and when you see, you just go to that old 1888 text of clinical manifestations of hypothyroidism. A doctor has to just read it and they can see, oh my, this patient is hypothyroid. And why don't I give them, 4 grains of thyroid meds and they're out going about their daily business. Instead, we've gotten into this, it's almost like an industry where the person is so weakened that they then get put into this, on this assembly line of medication after medication, side effects, then infections and surgery and cancer. So that is why we spend many times more. We spend 20% of our GDP on medicine, and it's a tenth as effective as other countries that spend, industrialized nations that spend less than 5% of their GDP on healthcare. Okay, so the Groundup thyroid has T4, T3, T2, T1, calcitonin, and other, and many study after study. There's the T4 only or T3, T4 work, but there's less side effects in a complete. It's like eating an orange versus eating ascorbic acid. It's the difference. You absorb a whole lot more when you eat the orange as opposed to eating the ascorbic acid. So these are critical: iodine, zinc, selenium, glutathione. You need zinc for the glutathione. You need selenium to deiodinize it, and you need the iodine because it's fundamental to life. And we don't have enough of it. High fat, low carb, moderate protein diet. Avoid carbs. You will reduce your insulin levels. There's a big portion of the population that's hypothyroid because they were told to eat carbohydrates instead of fats. What you don't want to do is tandem fuel. If you eat a lot of fats because you're keto, and then you eat a lot of carbs, you're going to put on a lot of weight than if you were just carbo or just keto. So don't tandem fuel. If you want to eat a carb, separate it from your fatty meal by 2 to 3 hours. Try keto.
And no more rice.
No more rice, yes.
Well, because of the GMO?
Yes.
That,
China is now making GMO rice, and they'll sell it to every restaurant in the U.S.
and you'll never be able to tell
You won't be
whether
able to
it's,
tell.
the
Get local organic rice,
Yeah.
which is way better. But restaurants, definitely avoid eating. You almost want to avoid eating in restaurants,
Yes.
unless you're desperate or unless you're going to a party. But
Yeah.
eat before the restaurant meal, eat after the meal. You'll be fine. Avoid hospitals. Iatrogenic illnesses cause more damage than just about any other disease on earth. If you're hypothyroid, you'll land up in hospital, you get hospital infections. Pretty soon you got strep and MRSA. They got to amputate your body parts and you're dead. So whatever you do, avoid hospitals. The golden age of hospitals is now over. We are no longer, we are completely antibiotic resistant. You're getting a lot of antibiotics through the food you eat already, and you're compromised. I had a friend who went to hospital for, tendon surgery of some sort, and she developed Clostridium and almost died. Yeah. If you get Clostridium, go to a friend from the Health and Nutrition Club who has good poop and get a fecal implant. That's the fastest way to cure Clostridium difficile. Get a fecal transplant of a healthy person. I'm not joking. And that's it.
Wow.